I'm seeing for the first time since the pandemic, people saying they got dysautonomia from having COVID.
There's a huge increase in referral to our clinic after pandemic.
I woke up in the middle of the night with a heart rate of 180 beats per minute.
When your sister is literally in your arms on the ground telling you that she doesn't think she's going to make it to the hospital in the next 10 minutes is terrifying.
March 15th is when I first got a sore throat. I don't think my immediate thought was I have COVID. So I'm in my 10th month, I think, if I'm doing the math correctly. Yeah, rounding up on a year soon. When I realized that it was a more serious situation for me was when I woke up in the middle of the night with a heart rate of 180 beats per minute. Just shot out of bed. Barely made it to my sister's bedroom because I almost passed out. And I just looked at her and I was like, you need to call 911.
When your sister is literally in your arms on the ground telling you that she doesn't think she's going to make it to the hospital in the next 10 minutes is terrifying.
And they had to stop my heart 3 times.
Every time she was falling asleep, her system was kicking in that she couldn't breathe, and she thought she was going to die. So her anxiety was through the roof.
I had a lot of doctors telling me that it was just anxiety. It was especially scary because you're having to sit there and convince practitioners that something is wrong with you and that you need help. And essentially they're like, well, there's nothing else we can do for you.
And meanwhile, my sister was still going to the hospital every few days. So we had a lot of ambulance rides, a lot of taking work phone calls in parking lots, waiting to hear.
I was bedridden for probably about 4 months and would have to crawl to the bathroom because every time I stood, my heart rate would just spike and it would feel like I was having a heart attack. It required a lot of me just trusting that I would be okay when everything in my body was telling me the alarms are on, something's not right.
Who figured out that you had dysautonomia?
I'm really lucky. I landed myself a doctor who works with people who have chronic viral infections. She had officially confirmed it. And then just based off of my own research, I was like, oh yeah, this is definitely what I have going on.
Thousands of people known as long haulers have been suffering from symptoms months after they contracted the COVID virus. There may be an answer for why this is happening to some. It's a condition called dysautonomia, which affects more than 70 million people worldwide.
Dysautonomia is a disorder of the autonomic nervous system. And your autonomic nervous system is that part of your nervous system that does things automatically. It's regulating your blood pressure, it's regulating your body temperature, it's regulating your heart rate. When you eat, it regulates your digestion, it regulates your hormones, your electrolytes. It calls the shots for all those things that you don't have to stop and think about. I know a little bit about it only because I've had it for 21 years at least. I didn't have symptoms bad enough till I was 40 years old and went without a diagnosis. For 12 years, it got worse and worse and worse. I didn't know what was wrong with me. I knew it was real. When I first started having symptoms, all I knew was I was dizzy. I was having dizzy spells. I was getting nauseated. My heart was beating really, really fast. What is happening? You know, and those are such vague symptoms. Oftentimes doctors, especially if they haven't been to medical school recently, I'm not being ageist, I'm in my 60s. Somebody my age who went to medical school way back in the days when I went to law school, they weren't taught about dysautonomia.
Do you know when they started teaching it in schools?
So I don't even think they're teaching it now. In most medical schools, to be honest, I can't think about any medical school that I know for including these parts in the regular curriculum. As far as I know, most doctors learn about it in their just clinical practice.
Wow. Wow. No wonder it's so hard for people to get a diagnosis.
It's very difficult to say how many types of dysautonomia exist out there. POTS is a form of dysautonomia. So the term POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, was first coined by Dr. Philip Lowe at Mayo Clinic in 1993. So it's a relatively newer term, but this has been known for a very long time in the history as different names. So for example, in 19th century, it was called neurasthenia. That literally means nerve exhaustion. And some famous figures in history, such as Dr. Sigmund Freud, the father of psychology, is known to actually taking care of this patient before. Dr. Freud, he actually in his early publication, he tried to distinguish hysteria and neurasthenia very differently. He thought that neurasthenia is more organic disease, whereas hysteria is more pure psychological form of this condition. And he chose to study more on hysteria, not neurasthenia or POTS. And he became very famous in psychology. Later on, POTS was also discovered in young soldiers returning from American Civil War. And at the time it was called soldier's heart, or Da Costa syndrome, which is named after the doctor who described the soldier's heart. So it exists in different names before.
Dysautonomia can be very disruptive to one's living a normal life. I was homebound for 5 years up until recently when I got the supplemental oxygen that now, as long as I'm on it, keeps me from passing out. So it can be a pretty serious disease. That's my mobility scooter folded there in the printer. I'll show you it. So when we go places like Home Depot, which are distances greater than I can walk, because I can't exert myself that much. The most common problem is the destabilization of the blood pressure. My blood pressure can't be regulated anymore. Now for many people it only drops low, but for some of us it also goes too high. So there are certain body positions and certain triggers. Some are food, some are air temperature, certain triggers that will cause our blood pressures to plummet to where we pass out, we lose consciousness. Because when your blood pressure drops, your oxygen gets dragged down with it. And also our blood pressure shoots up, and it can shoot up to dangerous levels where you might have a stroke or have organ damage. And in keeping with that, it also sends even a healthy heart bad, incorrect messages. Autonomic nervous system that's malfunctioning can tell your heart that's otherwise healthy to beat too quickly. It can tell it to slow down too slow. Autonomic nervous system is like a drunk driver trying to turn a corner. It's like the steering wheel. It's either gonna not turn enough and miss the turn, or it's gonna go too far and roll the car. Oh, I forgot I got rid of my SWAT team one because this original model that I had in white kept me cooler. Mm-hmm. So that's a cool vest.
Nice.
And to set it up, I just turn it inside out. There is currently no treatment for dysautonomia. They can give you drugs designed for other disorders. And it's like throwing spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. Maybe it'll help you, maybe it won't. But there's no medicine for dysautonomia. But up until COVID, it didn't happen to enough people that there's been a lot of interest in medical research.
Voila!
So that is a cooling vest, and they're adjustable, so you can bring them in. They don't look the greatest before they keep you cool.
That's amazing.
So, and that the difference between being able to be outside and participate in things or not be outside at all. Dysautonomia research is in its infancy, and I would liken it to this. Having dysautonomia in 2021 would be like having diabetes in 1921. In 1921, if you had diabetes, they knew enough to identify it, but there was no known medicine at that time. There was no known recommendations for lifestyle changes or eating. You were just kind of left to your own devices. And that's where we are with dysautonomia. You're left to your own devices. So that's where the support groups are good, because everything I've learned has been through trial and error and talking to other people who've done the same, and we give each other tips. At this point, I'm just in there to help what we call the newbies, newly diagnosed people. We give them day-to-day tips for managing it, like oxygen helps, cooling vests help, heated jackets help, those kind of things. I'm seeing for the first time since the pandemic, people saying they got dysautonomia from having COVID and joining the groups because of that.
Are you seeing an increase in patients at your clinic since the onset of the pandemic?
Absolutely, yes. There's a huge increase in referral to our clinic after pandemic, and it's not just Hopkins.
What's the wait time to get into your clinic right now?
We are growing, I think I have 10, 11 months right now, which is problematic because these people have very disabling symptoms. As you probably know, immune system is there in our body to protect ourselves from virus or bacteria or foreign bodies. But sometimes our immune systems can get confused and recognize our own body tissue as some kind of virus or bacteria and continuously attack and inflame the body tissue. So it can cause different type of disease depending on which organ they attack. But basically what may be happening in post-COVID syndrome patients is that possibly these people who get post-COVID syndrome, their nervous system's molecular structures may look very similar to the molecular structure of COVID virus itself. So what happens is that their immune system, they develop a thing called antibody. That's one of the weapons of our immune system to get rid of the COVID virus. But even after virus is gone out of their body, the antibodies still recognize our body tissue. In that case, the nervous system, autonomic nervous system, and continuously attack and inflame the nervous system. And the thought is that that's why they develop post-COVID, long-COVID syndrome. In the case of dysautonomia and post-COVID syndrome, the growing suspicion is that it's attacking autonomic nervous system that particularly regulates our blood flows.
So I'm in my 10th month, I think, rounding up on a year soon. It's torturous, because every day kind of feels like its own limbo. You're just stuck in this body that you know isn't functioning properly. And that's definitely been a big mental shift of just having to reorient ourselves to the reality of our timelines. I think has definitely been probably one of the more difficult things about all of this. Finding the balance between hope and acceptance of your current reality. I am having a difficult time continuing to trust that I will get better and that this is not my forever. However, I've been able to access joy in ways that I haven't been able to, in very simple ways. I do believe healing is possible. I'll get there. That this won't be my everyday existence.
If Alaska were a country, it would be the nation with the world's highest per capita case rate. Basically, that means there's no room at the hospital.
She started feeling sick on Monday. Hey, we have a COVID testing appointment at 3 o'clock.
So this is a self-administered test that you guys will do in your car.
So I've experienced COVID-related symptoms for 317 days.